So now that I have some basic content created, just for the sake of contrast, I'm going to introduce another game object. I'm going to create game object, create other. And this time, rather than a cube, I'll just create a sphere, and I'll move this sphere into a slightly different position. Now, over in the hierarchy view, I can do a couple of different things. I mentioned before that we can use the hierarchy view to make selections, and I'll recommend that you do that. If I double-click on the object, it will frame that object to the viewport. If I right-click or control-click on the object, I can do things like copy and paste or duplicate an existing object, or I can delete it. I can also rename it. I'll just leave this, I'll call this cube01, and I'll hit return to apply that name change. If I want to rename an object, I can select the object and click one time on its title as well. That will give me the capability to rename the object on the fly. And if I want to delete an existing object, I'll just double-click on my sphere. I'll use my mouse wheel to roll out just a bit. My gut tells me that I should be able to hit the delete key to delete an object, but in the case of Unity, that's not the case. It's kind of a safeguard against hitting the delete key or scripting something and needing to use the delete key without deleting selected objects. And so in order to delete an object from the Unity interface, we either need to right-click or control-click and choose to delete the object, or on the case of a Mac, we can hold down the command key, command and delete at the same time. Now when I hit command and delete, you can see that the edit menu lit up for a moment, and that just gives me a cue that the command that I chose was located under the edit menu. So there's, we want to start to familiarize ourselves with what's available under some of these menus. We'll take a deeper dive into these as needed. So once I created the content, some basic content inside my 3D scene, my 3D scene isn't very interesting at this point, but I do have two components. I have a cube object, and I also have a main camera. And you'll notice that when I select the main camera, we get this little blue window that pops up here in the corner. This is what the camera is looking at. So I actually see my cube here. So if I grab my cube and I move it a little bit closer to where my camera is, and I go back to my main camera, you can see that my cube is now closer. As I move my camera around, you can see that I'm actually changing its view of the cube as I go. So this little blue window that pops up whenever you have a camera selected is just showing you a little preview of what that camera is looking at. So just be aware of what's happening. At this point, I have some basic content inside Unity. My goal is just to navigate, to familiarize myself with how to navigate the scene, how to manage content in the hierarchy manager, and how to influence some of the basic properties in the inspector. Once I do that, make sure that you experiment with it, start to feel comfortable with it. In the next presentation, we'll create a train object and start to translate one of our early sketches into a landscape and explore the lighting and terrain tools that exist inside Unity. But we'll do that in the next presentation.